Be me, 23-year-old graphic designer working at small marketing agency. New girl starts in the sales department. Her name is Sophie. She's funny, smart, has this laugh that makes everyone in the office smile. Also, she's way out of my league, like absurdly so. Usually, I just admire from afar and never make a move. But my roommate Kevin is a psychology major, and he's been filling my head with theories. Tells me about this thing called reverse psychology, how it works on everyone. Spend an entire weekend watching dating advice videos about playing hard to get. Kevin says the trick is to act like you're not interested, makes people want you more. Sounds stupid, but I'm desperate and terrible at normal flirting. Monday morning, Sophie walks into the break room while I'm making coffee. She says good morning. I panic and say mornings are actually scientifically proven to be bad. She laughs and asks if I'm not a morning person. Instead of being normal, I say I'm not really a person if we're being honest. She looks confused but amused, pours her coffee and leaves. Kevin says that was perfect. I created mystery and intrigue. Feel like I just made myself look like a weirdo, but okay. Tuesday, Sophie sits in the cafeteria at lunch. There's an empty seat next to her. My coworker Brandon is about to sit there, but I race over and grab the seat first. She smiles at me, says she didn't know we had the same lunch schedule. Reverse psychology brain activates, I tell her. I specifically chose this time slot to avoid crowds. She says, oh, I can move if you want to be alone. Internally screaming because that's the opposite of what I want. Quickly backtrack and say, no, you're fine. You're like barely even here. She raises an eyebrow and says, barely even here? Should I be offended? Laugh nervously and shove an entire sandwich in my mouth to avoid talking more. She eats her salad quietly and I'm sweating through my shirt. Wednesday, company emails about team building bowling event this Friday night. Everyone in the office is talking about who's going. Sophie asks the group if anyone's excited. Everyone says yes. She looks at me and asks if I'm going. Remember Kevin's advice about playing hard to get and being unavailable. Tell her bowling is honestly one of the most pointless activities humans invented. She laughs and says, so that's a no then? Double down and say, I have much better things to do than roll a ball at pins. The entire office heard this. Brandon asks what I'm doing that's so important. Freeze because I literally have zero plans. My weekends are just video games and takeout. Blurt out, I'm actually attending a really exclusive art gallery opening. Sophie's eyes light up and she says she loves art galleries. Asks which one. Panic harder and make up a name. The Crimson Canvas Gallery. Very underground. Invite only. She looks it up on her phone right there. Obviously it doesn't exist. She says she can't find it online, I tell her that's how exclusive it is. Everyone is staring at me now, and I want to dissolve into the floor. Thursday, avoid Sophie all day because I'm embarrassed about the fake gallery. She catches me at the coffee machine again, says she tried finding that gallery. Tell her it's probably too exclusive for Google. Immediately realize how dumb that sounds. She's smiling though, like she thinks I'm joking and being playful. Asks what kind of art they show there. Brain completely empty, say abstract sadness. She bursts out laughing, says that sounds fascinating. She leans in and says, you're really weird, but it's kind of endearing. Heart is pounding. She thinks I'm being charming on purpose. Kevin texts me asking how the reverse psychology is working. Text back, I think I'm accidentally being so reversed that it's coming back around to working. Friday morning, Sophie brings it up again. Says she's sad I won't be at bowling. The way she says it makes me think she actually wanted to hang out. Consider abandoning the whole reverse psychology thing and just asking her out normally. But Kevin's voice in my head says, stay the course, you're doing great. Tell her, I guess if the gallery thing falls through, I might stop by the bowling alley. She brightens up and says, really? That would be cool? Spend the rest of the day planning my fake gallery excuse for why I couldn't make it. Friday evening, sitting at home trying to decide if I should go to bowling. Kevin says I should show up late and act like I'm doing everyone a favor. Says it'll make me seem busy and important. Arrive at the bowling alley an hour late. Everyone's already on their second game. Sophie sees me walk in and waves enthusiastically. I wave back but try to look cool and disinterested. Lean against the shoe counter. She walks over and asks what happened to the exclusive gallery. Tell her it was too pretentious. Everyone there was just posing with wine glasses. She's trying not to laugh, says, so you came to our humble bowling alley instead? Shrug and say, I guess I can tolerate throwing balls at pins for an hour or two. She hands me bowling shoes and says, try not to have too much fun. I know how much you hate pointless activities. She's definitely flirting back. This is either working or she pities me. Get assigned to her team. It's me, Sophie, Brandon, and this girl from accounting named Rita. My first turn, I throw a gutter ball immediately. Brandon laughs and says, "Wow, exclusive art gallery guy can't bowl." Sophie defends me, saying, "It's his first throw, give him a chance." Second throw, another gutter ball. I can feel my reverse psychology strategy crumbling. Sit down and say, "See, this is exactly why I didn't want to come. Bowling is rigged." Sophie is fully laughing now, sits next to me and says, "Or maybe you're just bad at it." Throughout the game, I continue to be terrible. Worst score on our team by far. But Sophie keeps making jokes and playfully teasing me about it. She bowls a strike and does this little dance. It's the cutest thing I've ever seen. Without thinking, I say, "Okay, that was actually pretty cool." She sits next to me and says, "Did you just give me a genuine compliment? Are you feeling okay?" Realize I broke character from my aloof reverse psychology persona. Try to save it by saying, it was moderately acceptable, I guess. She rolls her eyes, but she's smiling. Bumps her shoulder against mine. Final scores come in. I'm dead last with a 47. Sophie got a 156. Everyone's packing up to leave. Sophie asks if I want to grab food with the group. Kevin's advice echoes in my head. Always say no first, then reluctantly agree. Tell her, "I don't know, I'm pretty tired from that gallery opening earlier." She sees right through it and says, "The gallery that didn't exist?" Caught in my lie, feel my face turn red. She's grinning and says, "Come on, admit it. You made that up to seem interesting." Could deny it, but her eyes are too kind, I crack. Sigh and say, "Okay, yes, I made it up. I spent last Friday playing video games alone." Expect her to laugh at me or walk away. Instead, she says, "Why would you lie about that? Video games are cool." Tell her I was trying to seem mysterious and unavailable. She tilts her head and says, "Why would you want to seem unavailable?" Brandon yells from across the alley, asking if we're coming to dinner. Sophie ignores him and keeps looking at me, waiting for an answer. Word vomit happens, I tell her, because my roommate said girls like guys who don't seem interested. Her expression changes, somewhere between amused and confused. She asks, "So you've been acting weird on purpose? The coffee thing? The lunch thing?" Nod miserably and say, "Yeah, it's called reverse psychology, apparently." She starts laughing, like really laughing. Has to hold on to the scoring table. I'm dying inside thinking she's laughing at how pathetic I am. She catches her breath and says, "So you actually do like mornings and crowds?" Shake my head and say, "No, I actually hate both of those things. That part was real." She says, "What about me? Do you actually think I'm barely even there?" Panic and say, "No, you're like super there all the time, very present, extremely noticeable." She's still smiling and asks, "So what you're saying is you were trying to flirt with me?" Look at my shoes and mumble, "I guess. I'm really bad at it, clearly." She steps closer and says, "Here's a wild idea. What if you just asked me out normally?" Look up at her and she's standing so close I can smell her perfume. Brain completely stops working. Manage to say, "Do you want to go out? Like on a date? With me?" She pretends to think about it and says, "I don't know. I usually only date guys who go to exclusive art galleries." Heart sinks until I see she's messing with me. She laughs and says, "Yes, I'd love to go out with you, but only if you promise to be yourself." Agree immediately, feel like I just won the lottery. Brandon yells again, asking if we're coming. She yells back, "Give us a minute." She takes out her phone and asks for my number. Fumble my phone out and we exchange numbers like normal humans. She texts me immediately. It's a gif of someone bowling a gutter ball with the caption, "You tonight." Can't help but laugh. Text back, "At least I made an impression." She says, "You made an impression the first day when you told me mornings were scientifically bad." We join the group for dinner, sit next to each other at this burger place. This time I don't try to be aloof or mysterious, just talk to her like a normal person. Find out we have a ton in common. Same taste in music, both love horror movies, both terrible at sports. She tells me about her previous job in retail and I tell her about my design projects. Conversation flows naturally when I'm not actively trying to sabotage myself. Brandon notices us getting along and whispers to Rita, loud enough for me to hear, "Finally, dude was being so weird all week." Sophie hears it too and tells him he was trying reverse psychology. It was adorable. The entire table wants to know the full story. She tells them about the fake art gallery and everyone loses it. Rita says, "The Crimson Canvas Gallery? That's the worst fake name I've ever heard." Brandon suggests we all go to this imaginary gallery, make up fake, pretentious art to look at. Sophie says we should absolutely do that, have a fake gallery night. I'm embarrassed, but also everyone's laughing with me, not at me. Dinner ends, and Sophie asks if I want to walk around downtown since it's still early. Just the two of us split off from the group, start wandering past clothes shops and street musicians. She asked why I thought reverse psychology would work. Explained Kevin's theories and all the dating advice videos I watched. She says, the irony is you were way more interesting when you stopped trying. Ask her when she actually started liking me. She thinks about it and says, probably when you raced Brandon for that seat at lunch. Confused because I say, but I told you that you were barely even there after. She laughs and says, yeah, but you chose to sit with me and then got so flustered trying to play it cool, it was obvious. I feel like an idiot for all the mental gymnastics I put myself through. She continues, plus I asked Rita about you and she said you're really sweet, just awkward. We walk past this fountain and she sits on the edge. I sit next to her. She says, so now that we're being honest, what made you interested in me? Tell her honestly, the laugh, the smile, the way she's nice to everyone in the office. Also admit I thought she was way too cool to be interested in someone like me. She bumps my shoulder again and says, someone like you? You mean funny and creative? Shake my head and say, I mean awkward and weird and can't bowl to save his life. She turns to face me fully and says, those are exactly the things I like about you. My brain short circuits. Can't believe this is real. She checks her phone and says it's getting late. She should probably head home. Walk her to her car, which is parked near the bowling alley. We stand there awkwardly, and I don't know if I should hug her or what. She solves the problem by hugging me first. Says, text me this weekend. Promise I will. Watch her drive away. Feel like I'm floating. Get back to my apartment, and Kevin is waiting up like a concerned parent. He asks how the reverse psychology worked. Tell him it failed spectacularly and then I gave up and it somehow worked. Explain the whole night and he's shocked it worked out. He says, so you're telling me that being genuine was the answer all along? Throw a pillow at him and say your psychology degree is useless. He laughs and says, hey, it got you to talk to her in the first place. Fair point. I probably wouldn't have approached her without his terrible advice. Spend the rest of the night texting Sophie. Actual real conversations. She sends me a list of horror movies we should watch together. I send her a playlist of music I think she'd like. We stay up until 2 a.m. just talking about random stuff. Saturday morning, wake up to a text from her, still hate mornings? Text back, hate them slightly less when they start with your texts. She responds with a heart emoji. I stare at it for 5 minutes. She asks if I want to do something today, maybe actually go to a real art gallery. Agree immediately, spend 2 hours getting ready and changing outfits. Kevin makes fun of me the entire time, says I'm being dramatic. Pick her up at her apartment. She's wearing this sundress and I forget how to speak. She gets in my car and says, wow, actual effort. I'm impressed. Drive to the Modern Art Museum downtown, pay for both our tickets. She tries to pay, but I insist. She says, careful, that's not very reverse psychology of you. Walk through the exhibits together. She actually knows a lot about art. I mostly just make dumb jokes about the abstract pieces. There's this painting that's literally just a red square, and I say this is abstract sadness. She remembers my fake gallery description and starts laughing in the quiet museum. People stare at us, but she doesn't care. Grabs my hand and pulls me to the next room. Holding hands feels natural, like we've been doing it forever. We spend 3 hours at the museum talking about everything and nothing. Stop at a coffee shop after. She orders some complicated drink with oat milk and vanilla. I order black coffee and she says, of course you do, mysterious art gallery man. We sit outside and she asks about my design work. Show her my portfolio on my phone. She's genuinely impressed. She shows me her sales numbers, talks about how she wants to start her own business eventually. Conversation flows for another 2 hours until the coffee shop starts closing. Drive her home and we sit in my car outside her building. She says, I had a really good time. Today, like genuinely great. Tell her I did too. Ask when I can see her again. She says, what are you doing tomorrow? Sunday we get brunch, then walk around the park, then end up at her place watching movies. Her apartment is decorated exactly how I imagined. Lots of plants and string lights. We watch 2 horror movies back to back. She grabs my arm during the scary parts. Halfway through the second movie, she falls asleep with her head on my shoulder. Don't want to move and wake her up, so I just sit there. She wakes up an hour later and apologizes. I tell her it's fine. She asks if I want to stay for dinner, orders pizza, and we eat on her couch. This is the 3rd day in a row we've hung out, and it doesn't feel like too much. Leave around 11 p.m. She walks me to the door and kisses me on the cheek. Drive home in a daze. Kevin asks how it went. Just smile and say, I think I have a girlfriend. He high-fives me and says, see, psychology works. Remind him that his advice almost ruined everything. Monday at work, Sophie and I arrive separately to keep it professional. But Brandon immediately notices us smiling at each other and says, "Oh no, they're in love." Rita demands details. Sophie tells them we went to a real art gallery. The week goes by and we see each other every single day after work. Tuesday, we cook dinner together at my place. She's terrible at cooking, but enthusiastic. Wednesday, we go to a bookstore and spend hours recommending books to each other. Thursday, we just drive around, listening to music and talking. Friday, she has work drinks with her department, invites me to queue. Her sales team is curious about who I am. She introduces me as the guy from the fake gallery. Story has become legendary in our office. Everyone knows about it. Her coworker asks how we actually got together. Sophie says he stopped trying so hard and just became himself. 2 weeks in, we're officially calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend. Kevin takes full credit, says his reverse psychology worked in mysterious ways. Month passes, we're completely comfortable with each other. She has a drawer at my place. I have a toothbrush at hers. Office knows we're together. They think it's cute. Brandon still makes jokes about the Crimson Canvas Gallery. Rita says we should actually create it, make it a fake gallery for terrible art. Sophie loves this idea, starts planning an ironic art show. Month 2, she brings up that we should be official on social media. I post a photo of us at the museum with the caption, "Turns out reverse psychology is just regular psychology, but worse." She comments, "Best worst flirting I've ever experienced." Kevin comments, "I helped," and she replies, "You really didn't." Month 3, we're basically inseparable. Office throws a party, and we go together as an official couple. Someone asks how we knew it was serious. Sophie says when he stopped pretending to hate things I liked and started actually enjoying them with me. Realize that's exactly what happened. I stopped performing and started participating. Month 4, she meets my parents via video call. My mom loves her immediately, asks when we're getting married. Sophie laughs it off, but squeezes my hand under the table. I meet her parents in person. Her dad asks what my intentions are. Tell him honestly, I plan to stop being an idiot and treat your daughter really well. He laughs and says, "Good enough." Month 6, we're planning a trip together, looking at flights to Portland. She wants to visit all the weird museums and quirky coffee shops. I just want to spend time with her, don't care what we do. Tell her this and she says, "Look at you," being emotionally honest without reverse psychology. Month 8, work Halloween party coming up. Sophie suggests we dress as a painting and a pretentious art critic. I suggest we go as gutter balls and bowling pins. We compromise and go as a couple from a horror movie we watched on our first real date. Win best couple costume. Brandon says we're disgustingly cute together. Month 10, she brings up moving in together. Kevin is moving out anyway. His lease is ending. She could take his room. We'd save money. Makes practical sense. But also I want to wake up next to her every day. Tell her yes before she even finishes asking. Kevin moves out. Sophie moves in. Apartment feels completely different. Her plants everywhere. Her art on the walls. Her presence in every room. Cooking together. Watching movies together. Just existing together. Year 1, anniversary of meeting her. I planned something special. Take her to the bowling alley, where we first really connected. She laughs when she realizes where we are, says, "You're kidding." Tell her I'm not. We're going to bowl terribly together. Rent the same lane, bowl the same terrible scores. She still beats me by 100 points, still does her victory dance. After the game, I tell her I have something to say. She looks nervous, like maybe I'm breaking up with her. Tell her I'm really glad I was terrible at reverse psychology. She says, "Why?" Tell her, because being fake didn't work, but being real with you has been the best thing in my life. She tears up a little and kisses me right there in the bowling alley. Same place where I admitted I made up a fake art gallery. Same place where she saw through my nonsense and liked me anyway. We take a selfie in front of the scoring screen, showing our terrible scores. Caption it, 1 year later, still bad at bowling, still great at everything else. Drive home and she's quiet, finally says, "I have a confession." Heart stops thinking something is wrong. She says, "I knew you were lying about the art gallery from the beginning." Ask her why she didn't call me out immediately. She says, "Because watching you commit to the bit was adorable, and I wanted to see how far you'd go." She knew the whole time and still gave me a chance. Ask her when she actually decided she liked me. She says, "The moment you sat down at lunch and told me I was barely even there, you looked so panicked." Starts laughing and says, "Your face was so red, and you just shoved that sandwich in your mouth." I knew right then. So the reverse psychology didn't work at all. She just liked my awkward self from the start. Tell Kevin this revelation. He's shocked. He says, "So my advice was completely useless?" Nod and say, "Completely." But thanks anyway, I guess. Lying in bed that night, Sophie's already asleep next to me. Think about how I almost screwed everything up trying to be someone I wasn't. Grateful she saw through the act and liked the real person underneath. Grateful I was bad enough at pretending that my actual personality kept showing through. She mumbles in her sleep something about bowling and I smile. Year 2 now, we're looking at apartments to rent together. Bigger place, fresh start. Work is going great. Got promoted to senior designer. Sophie's talking about finally starting that business she mentioned on our first date. Brandon and Rita are now dating too. They credit us for inspiring them. The fake Crimson Canvas Gallery became a real thing. We host it quarterly. Local artists show intentionally terrible art. It's ironic and fun and people love it. Sophie runs it. I design the promotional materials. Our origin story is on the gallery's about page. Kevin finished his psychology degree, works as a therapist now. We joke that his success rate is still 0% because his advice to me failed. He argues that it technically worked since we ended up together. Still wrong, but we let him have it. Sitting at our favorite coffee shop, planning our next gallery show. She's drawing ideas on a napkin, tongue sticking out in concentration. Still the cutest thing I've ever seen. She catches me staring and asks what I'm thinking. Tell her just thinking about how bad I was at flirting. She laughs and says, "You're still pretty bad at it." Lean over and kiss her. She kisses back. Pull away and say, "But I'm getting better, right?" She pretends to consider it and says, I'd give it a 47 out of 150. My bowling score from that first night. Tell her that's fair. Still better than my reverse psychology score. She says, "That gets a 0, absolute failure. Would not recommend." But she's smiling and holding my hand across the table. That my face. When you try to use reverse psychology to get the girl but end up just being yourself instead, and it works better than any strategy ever could. That feel when you realize the person you were trying to impress actually liked you before you started trying, and all the games were completely unnecessary.